And they were gonna scrap this? Wow. Okay. That either tells me that they had no faith in it or they're just freaking morons. Well, considering Velma exists, probably they're just freaking morons. But, thankfully, thanks to the fans, it's here, it has arrived, I have seen it, and it's going to be a much more positive review than the last one. I can definitely reassure you that. What's up? What's happening? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Animation Station. Number one such a day for anything and everything animation, including mystery solving group of teenagers and their talking dog. We're talking Scooby-Doo and Krypto 2, the latest Scooby-Doo movie to be released, and probably the only one we're going to be getting this year, which is bizarre to say, because ever since the What's New movies, technically, we've been getting 2 of these a year at the very least, sometimes 3. Like if it's a theatrical release, like Scoob, for example. I believe we had 3 Scooby-Doo movies in 2020, because Scoob was the theatrically released one, and I think we had 2 direct-to-DVD movies on top of that, so sometimes we get 3, but usually at minimum we get 2. But no, because of the Warner Brothers Discovery crap, we only get 1 this year. And heck, we weren't even supposed to get this one this year, because originally this was going to be completely freaking scrapped. But thankfully, because of the passionate fans leaking it online, and the positive feedback that's been surrounding it ever since, they've officially released it. They've decided to officially release it, and it's a good thing. Because we are in for what I think is a great movie. Yeah, I said it. Even though I was incredibly skeptical at first, I'm like, wait, what? A Scooby-Doo movie where it takes place in DC again, and they're interacting with DC characters again, and they're focusing on Krypto the Superdog and having to, interact with Lex Luthor again. Like, that just sounded boring to me on paper. But then I saw the trailer, and it looked pretty decent. Well, I didn't see a trailer. I actually more saw a review on a site called Amino, where people were talking pretty positively about it, the ones that actually got to see the original leaked version. And then shortly after that leaked version, and the positive feedback surrounding it, WB released the official trailer. I watched it, it looked surprisingly good, so I'm like, you know what? What the heck, let's talk about it. I'm gonna get requests to review it anyway. I mean, I reviewed Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo last year, so let's review this one. So, yeah, this is a great one. That's all I'm going to say right up front. If you're afraid that this is going to be a piece of crap, don't be. It is a great movie. Is it better than Scooby-Doo meets Batman Brave and the Bold? Oh, absolutely not. But it is still a great movie. It's a great time, and it's a pretty big improvement from the surprisingly pretty disappointing one we looked at last year. So, without any more further ados and delays, here's my written review. I promise to be as spoiler-free as possible. Enjoy. Great voice acting, surprisingly strong story, good writing, some fun action, a lot of great humor. Like, there's a lot of great humor in this movie. Like, almost every 5 to 10 minutes I was laughing. That's a good sign. Tons of references to Golden Era DC and some memes. Like, the one I will spoil for you is that there is a reference, or an appearance, I should say, of the infamous memed to death Batman 69 shark repellent. I'm not going to say where it is in the movie, I'm just going to say when you see it, you are going to laugh your rear end off. Good characters. Like, all the characters here are actually pretty good. Like, all the characters are in character. There's a few weird gags going on, like Daphne apparently dancing with Jimmy Olsen. That part's weird. And then Fred trying to impress her by trying to act like Batman and having like a utility belt that ends up having anything but actual utilities in it. Yeah, well, weird. Considering the fact that... Actually, no, that's a spoiler too. Sorry. Great character dialogue, a fun setting. Like, this takes place in the Hall of Justice. Like, that's a really fun setting for a Scooby-Doo movie. Fast pacing and a great runtime. This movie is only an hour and 18 minutes long. So, you're not wasting a whole lot of your time watching it. And not to mention it's going to fly by even faster than that because of how much fun you're going to have. However, there are still some issues that need to be addressed going forward into this movie. The mystery, while intriguing, lacks payoff. Like, it starts out really intriguing, but then it turns out to be something else entirely. It's very confusing. It's very, very confusing. The third act twist is terrible. It's not as awful as Return to Zombie Island, but it's not at all good. It's pretty bad. Like, it's one of those, like, oh, gee, who would have saw that coming kind of scenarios. So, just be aware that the mystery itself in this movie is not very good. Some of the jokes are pretty hit or miss, and many of the villains, aside from Lex Luthor, who actually gets a huge chunk of screen time and is voiced by Clancy Brown, yes, Mr. Krabs, many of the villains get sidelined and used for nothing more than visual gags, which gets tiring after a while. I'm talking mainly about Giganta, the Zod Gang, the Joker, Harley Quinn, and Solomon Grundy. Those 5 are in this movie prevalently, but it's mainly for visual comedic gags. They're not really there to, actually have an effect on the story. And considering, again, one of them's freaking Joker, you'd think he would have a bigger role, but surprisingly not. And as for Lex Luthor himself, there's a little spoiler with him that I'm not going to say, but I will say that he is surprisingly great in this movie, and it reminded me a lot of, like that really cheesy golden era comic book dialogue. Like, when they say weird phrases that no one says anymore, or those weird kind of words or sentences where you just raise an eyebrow like, what? Are you the same character that I think you are, or are you just some kind of freaking hologram or something? Like, you get lines like that every now and then, and every time you get a line that is a little bit eye-rolling, but it's not bad. And surprisingly enough, Lex Luthor's actually really funny in here. And again, even though the third act twist is terrible, I mean, it's still interesting seeing him interacting with the Scooby Gang for a big majority of the film. Also, this is more of a mixed thing than outright negative, but it needs to be stated. The animation style of this movie has reverted back to the Mystery Incorporated visual art style, which is a bit odd considering how last year they swapped over to the newer Guess Who Scooby-Doo style of animation for that year's film, that being Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo, which I already gave its full review. And not to mention, on top of that, this was originally completely scrapped due to the WB Discovery merger, which is also why Scoob Holiday Haunt also got scrapped. But that one apparently is looking like it's going to stay scrapped, which is a bummer. I can understand why, but it's a bummer. Which was almost as terrible of a move as canceling Batgirl and giving us the horrendous Flash movie instead. That still remains the worst thing they've ever done. Yes, even worse than Return to Zombie Island. Thankfully, though, thanks to the passion of the fans who leaked it online and got huge positive praise surrounding it, they decided to release it as the one and possibly only Scooby-Doo movie we get this year. Thanks a lot, Velma. I'm pretty sure you did most of that damage because of how much you destroyed the brand of Scooby-Doo with your horrible, freaking garbage show that I'm never going to cover because it'll turn into a 2-hour rant of me throwing an F-bomb left and right. Don't ask me to cover that piece of crap. I outright refuse. Sorry, I just had to get that out there. Do not ask me to review Velma. I'm not freaking touching it. Overall, though, this really is the only Scooby-Doo movie that we get this year. It's a pretty strong one to cap off 2023. Scooby-Doo and Krypto 2 is a freaking computer. Scooby-Doo and Krypto 2 is a surprisingly great, funny, charming, and hilarious adventure that provides the fans with lots of laughs and a surprisingly great story that's sure to entertain both adults and kids alike, and also reminds us why we love Scooby-Doo so much even over 50 years later. Highly recommended. Whether you're a DC fan, a Scooby-Doo fan, both, or just looking for something fun to watch either by yourself or with your family, this is more than worth your time. I'm as surprised as you about the words coming out of my mouth right now, especially considering how I was kind of against the initial concept, but, well, when something works, and this is one of those cases, so, yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to say about it. It's a great movie, definitely check it out. It just came out today, it's on digital, it should be on DVD, and definitely check it out. It's actually a pretty quality film, which, again, considering the concept, is pretty surprising. I can see why there was so much positive discourse around it, because I'm going to be one of those as well. Yes, it is nowhere near close to making the top 20 best list this year, but that doesn't mean it needs to be completely discounted as a film that's just not worth watching, because that's far from the case. It is a surprisingly great film. I had a great time watching it. It was a lot of fun. It was extremely hilarious. And despite its problems, I still overall had a great time with this one. So, because of that, I'm going to be giving Scooby-Doo and Krypto 2 a strong final verdict of a high 8 out of 10. Definitely check this one out if you're a fan, or if you're just someone looking for something to watch with your family. You're going to have a great time. It's a lot of fun, and the references will definitely make you smile if you're one of those hardcore DC fans. Well, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And stay tuned because, without spoiling anything, it won't be too much longer before we're back in the world of Scooby-Doo again. But I'm not going to say when. You'll just have to wait and see. And yes, Mountain Kitty, I know that you already know what I'm talking about. Don't you dare spoil it in the comments section. Okay. That's this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next time for the Android Saga of Dragon Ball Z, which will be tomorrow because today's been a pretty crappy day, so I just want to get these 2 reviews out and then just relax for the rest of the day, so I don't blow a gasket. But, yep, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Jack Small of Animation Station, and I'll see you guys next time for the Android Saga of Dragon Ball Z. Peace.